has never denied that, and nor has she. I don't think anybody's frankly had the balls to ever ask them. But, a lot of stuff, for what it's worth, went around about Apple being a mean girl at her little debutante ball in Paris, and Gwyneth issued a statement, well, someone close to Gwyneth Paltrow, so Schmaltrow, issued a statement to the Daily Mail saying, quote, Apple's more playful and fun, and she's really a total girl's girl. Beware anybody who says they're a girl's girl. Real girls never say that. They just are. You can sense it, okay? This source close to Gwyneth goes on to characterize her, I'm quoting, to characterize her, meaning Apple, as a mean girl is totally untrue. If you have to deny it like that, I think it's true.
You guys, we need to talk. We really, really need to talk. Because the lid has officially been blown off, and the tea is so hot it's practically boiling over. Timothée Chalamet, our beloved, artsy, seemingly unproblematic king, has just pulled back the curtain on the whole Hollywood machine in a way that is so brutally honest, it's sending shockwaves from the hills of Beverly to the penthouses of Manhattan. And let me tell you, two names are getting absolutely dragged through the mud in the fallout: Gwyneth Paltrow and her daughter, Apple Martin. This isn't just gossip anymore. This is a full-blown expose, and it all started with what seemed like a simple, innocent interview for his new film. Timothée was sitting down with one of those serious film journals, you know the ones, where they talk about method acting and the auteur's vision, and the conversation somehow drifted to the challenges young actors face. And Timothée, he just got this look on his face, this really weary, kind of defeated look.
Harmonizing.
And he said something that changed everything. He said, and I'm paraphrasing, but this is the essence, he said that the hardest part isn't the long hours or the press tours. It's showing up to set every day and giving your entire soul to a character, only to watch roles get handed to people who haven't earned them, who treat the craft like a hobby, a fun little side project while they're waiting for their next trust fund check to clear. He talked about the sheer entitlement that suffocates real creativity, how it demoralizes everyone from the makeup artists to the directors, because they know they're working with someone who doesn't have the drive, the raw talent, or the respect for the process. He never said the words Nepo-Baby, but he didn't have to. The entire internet connected the dots in about 5 seconds flat, and the first place everyone went? Straight to the Martin Paltrow household. Because if that description doesn't scream Apple Martin and her entire career rollout, I don't know what does. This is the moment we've all been waiting for. The validation of every side-eye, every critical comment, every time we wondered how someone with such ordinary talent gets such an extraordinary platform. It's all right there in Timothée's quiet, dignified fury. And the timing could not be more deliciously awkward, because this interview dropped just days after Gwyneth Paltrow gave her own tell-all interview to a major magazine, gushing, and I mean gushing, about how Apple is the next big thing, how she's a true artist, a musician who is going to redefine the industry. She talked about how she and Chris Martin have always nurtured Apple's creative spirit, how they've given her the space to find her voice, and it all sounded so beautiful and empowering.
That it's fair for the offspring of famous people to bank in on that fame, or is it unfair to people who are actually talented?
It's definitely not fair. Absolutely not fair. It is the definition of unfairness. But I have an example to illustrate my point, because you might know Apple Martin. Yes. She is the daughter of Gwyneth Paltrow and Chris Martin. And she is the new it girl, and she actually this week became a Chanel girl. And we learnt that Karl Lagerfeld, the designer, when Apple was 4, Karl Lagerfeld looked at her and said, "You're going to be a Chanel girl." And you've got to say that has something to do with nepotism.
Until you remember that first live performance we all saw. The one that sounded more like a late-night karaoke session, after one too many drinks than a professional debut. And now, with Timothée's words ringing in our ears, Gwyneth's proud mom bragging just sounds desperate. It sounds like the most expensive, most well-connected participation trophy in the history of the world. And the fans? Oh, the fans are not having it. The Coldplay stans, who worship Chris Martin, they are heartbroken. They're flooding social media, saying this is embarrassing for him. that he should step in and protect his legacy from being tarnished by this blatant nepotism play. They're saying Apple is riding on the coattails of a genius, and the fabric is starting to fray. And then, to make it all 1,000 times worse, the blind items started flooding in. And these aren't the vague, could-be-anyone blinds from before. These are specific, pointed, and they paint a picture of a behind-the-scenes reality that is so much darker than we ever imagined. One of them, from a very reputable source, asked, which A-list actress, known for her lifestyle brand, literally strong-armed a prestigious music festival into giving her untalented daughter a prime performance slot by threatening to pull her rock star ex-husband's headlining act? I mean, come on. You don't have to be a detective to figure that one out. It reeks of Gwyneth using her influence, and Chris's legacy, to force Apple into a spotlight she simply hasn't earned. And what does that do? It pushes out a truly independent, struggling artist who spent years grinding in dive bars and recording studios, who would have killed for that opportunity. That's the real cost of this nepotism. It's not just that we have to watch mediocre performances. It's that genuinely talented voices are being silenced, their spots stolen by someone whose only qualification is their famous last name. And Timothée Chalamet, whether he meant to or not, just became the spokesperson for every single one of those silenced artists. But it doesn't stop there, because the other blind items are taking us back to the whole mean girl narrative, but with a new, terrifying twist. Another one asked, why did the powerful Hollywood couple quietly pay for a former classmate's entire Ivy League education and secure a lucrative job for her father at a major tech firm? Could it have anything to do with a non-disclosure agreement surrounding a certain bullying incident that nearly ended in tragedy? You guys, my jaw was on the floor. We heard the whispers before about the Cartier bracelets and the clique, about a girl being bullied so badly she had to leave school. But this implies a cover-up, a financial and legal cleanup operation orchestrated by the parents to protect their daughter's reputation and their own brand.
Said she told an intimacy coordinator to step back while she was filming sex scenes with Timothée Chalamet. The actors were on the set of their upcoming movie Marty Supreme when the coordinator asked Gwyneth if she'd be comfortable with a certain move during an intimate scene. And Gwyneth, who admitted that she didn't actually know that intimacy coordinators even existed, said she would feel very stifled by someone telling them what to do, so she asked the woman to step a little bit back. Now, these advisors are hired on set to make actors feel safe while recording intimate scenes, and they became the norm after the Me Too movement. Talking to Vanity Fair, the 52-year-old remembered telling the coordinator, "Girl, I'm from the era where you get naked, you get in the bed, the camera's on." She also joked that the age difference between herself and Timothée Chalamet only really dawned on her while they were recording the sex scenes, saying, "Okay, great, I'm 109 years old, you're 14.
This isn't just high school drama anymore. This is about using immense wealth and power to bury the truth, to buy silence. And it makes Gwyneth's recent comments about Apple having a beautiful sense of entitlement sound so unbelievably tone-deaf and grotesque. It's not beautiful, it's corrosive. It's the kind of entitlement that believes you can hurt people and then just write a check to make the problem disappear.
What this hairstyle's like working out. It is me, Miss Apple Blind Allison Martha, coming to you from the floor in a gorgeous self-portrait, little baby tee, and these cute ass earrings. And I'm so excited to be the new Miss Self-Portrait and for the campaign to come out.
And let's tie this all back to Timothée, because the connection is just too perfect. Remember the whole Marty Supreme drama? Where he supposedly begged Julia Roberts to be his love interest before settling for a desperate Gwyneth? Well, now his interview reframes that entire situation. It wasn't just about working with a screen legend. It was about wanting to work with a professional, a serious actress who earned her status, not someone who traded on her name and her lifestyle brand. He wanted a co-star who would elevate the material, not someone who would use the intimate scenes as fodder for her press tour to seem relevant and desirable. It all makes sense now. He was trying to avoid the very situation he just condemned, being forced to collaborate with someone who represents the entitled, unearned privilege he sees as a cancer in his industry. And by dragging Gwyneth into this, even indirectly, he's also dragging Apple, because their fates are so publicly intertwined. Apple's entire launch is a product of Gwyneth's world, a world of connections, influence, and bought opportunities that Timothée is so clearly sick of. So where does this leave us? We have a young, respected actor who has finally given voice to the quiet resentment that has been building in Hollywood for years. We have a legacy daughter whose career is being exposed as a carefully constructed nepotism project, backed not by talent, but by her parents' power and a series of allegedly silenced scandals. And we have a mother, an A-lister from a different era, who is so deep in her own privilege that she can't see how her attempts to build her daughter up are actually tearing her down, exposing the ugly, unfair mechanics of the system for everyone to see. This is more than a celebrity gossip cycle. This is a reckoning. The public is tired. The artists are tired. The veil has been lifted, and thanks to Timothée Chalamet's surprising candidness, we're all seeing the dark, unflattering truth of what it really takes to make it in this town. And it has nothing to do with talent, and everything to do with who your parents are. It's a sad, frustrating reality, but it's the one we're living in. And something tells me this is only the beginning. The dominoes are starting to fall, and I, for one, will be right here, watching it all unfold with you. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think Timothée was right to speak out? Do you think the backlash against Apple and Gwyneth is justified?
Teen thing, I think, because I've always been very, very honest with my kids, and I've always empowered them with a little bit more freedom and responsibility than they thought they were ready for. So they've treated it kind of with reverence. And I've always said, I don't need to give you a curfew unless you give me a reason to give you a curfew, kind of a thing. So, they're responsible, and they've never done anything too crazy. And I've really loved having teenagers. I mean, Apple's in her last year of her teenage years now, which is so crazy to me that she'll be 20 on her next birthday. I don't quite know how that happened.
And who do you think will be the next Nepo-Baby to be exposed in this new post-Chalamet truth era? The conversation is just getting started.